Today I will be teaching the HAP 725 Teach 1 process improvement. So this is the problem and you'll see it on the website. I will send over the slides and it will show the link of where the problem is. And so basically we have a data sheet and we have to create a graph with these distinguished items. So the first one is to create the upper control limit, the lower control limit, distinguishing the first 7 datas as pre-intervention, remaining data points are post-interventions, and we have to title the chart, create a legend, basically making the graph look very nice. And so this is the file. Make sure you're downloading it. It's found here, and basically it'll come up as an Excel sheet. And basically you first want to download that and then import that into Jupyter. So before that, I always suggest you to rename the file so that it is easier to find, and it helps make the Excel more relevant and giving it a title and something like that. But basically you go 1, 2, and 3. And if you don't know how to use Jupyter or you're new to using Jupyter, feel free to go over to Claire's slides as she will be creating a tutorial on how to use Jupyter. And so after you do that, you want to create a new Python file using Python. And so you first want to put in the first code so far, and then the results should be right there. And so we'll go into a little bit deeper of what each of this means. And so I break it down into piece by piece for those who might be new to Python. So the first line of code was import pandas as PD. Pandas is basically an open source data analysis and manipulation tool. It's kind of like a library that has a bunch of different tools to be able to visualize data, and it's just really resourceful. And so when we say panda as PD, that means that whenever we mention the word PD, we're talking about panda. So it's just a little shortcut for us. Next, we have import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. So basically, this again is another library, and it helps to create interactive visuals, which will help us make the plots. And so the pyplot is like a subsection, and it makes charts, graphs. Is a subsection of that. And then the next part is pd.readExcel and then some gibberish, right? So this allows us to see the data that was downloaded. So the HAP 725 hw1.xlsx might be different for you depending on what you renamed your Excel sheet, but that's what I named mine. If it's easier to help you, I would just follow the same way that I wrote mine. And just in the future, file name is case sensitive, so in case you lowercase HAP 725 homework 1, you have to write it all in lowercase, or whichever way you exactly typed it out, or it won't find the file. And remember, you have to put the file into Jupyter as well. And so next we're going to make the labels and title. To do that, we have the code right here. This code creates the title, the x-axis measures and labels, the y-axis measures and labels, and the marks for each observation, so the little dots. And so if you put that all into the code and you process it, this graph will appear. So as you can see the x-axis label with the measures, as well as the y-axis label with the measures, and the dots to mark the observed observations. And so after that, we create our max and minimums. So this is our pre-interventions as well as our post-interventions. Feel free to pause it and type all of this out, and I can explain later what it means as soon as you come back to it, alright? And so basically everything that you saw there is customizable. So with all of that, basically, so the plt.h lines means to plot horizontal lines. You can do also vertical lines, just plot v lines. And so this helps when it comes to minimums and maximums in graphs. And so the xmin, xmax is where the line begins and stops. And then if we go back really quickly, you can see that I'm customizing it using color, line style, and label. The label allows us to make a legend. And so the line styles, there's different line styles as well as different colors that you can use And so these are the different options. Obviously, there are a lot more options than what I show here. And when I send you over the slides, you'll be able to click on these green little lines and it'll show you different options that you can use. And so after that, you're going to create your legend. Your legend already begins when you allow labels to exist, but if you put it inside the graph, it might be really hard to read the graph itself. So we want to make sure that we're putting the legend next to the graph or somewhere that it doesn't bother the graph. So when we're looking at the graph, it doesn't look like it's bothered. And so basically, you'll create plot legend, which means to plot the legend, and then you'll put this code in. So basically, this code means that it allows the legend to go outside of the graph because it automatically goes inside the graph when you first create the legend, but you want to make sure you move it outside. And then LOC means location. So for me, I did upper left. You can do lower right. You can do upper right. You can put it basically wherever you'd like, but just make sure that it's to your liking. And so this should be your final product with the code as well as the graph itself. And then make sure you send over the Jupyter file to Blackboard so that Dr. Lemmy can grade it and make sure that it's correct. Thank you, and please email me if you have any questions. I'll send my email inside the email that I will be sending you, as well as my phone number in case it's easier for you that way. Thank you again.